Chào bạn, bây giờ mình nào, nghe bài nhé. Thì mình đã có một cái kênh, nhưng kênh của mình bây giờ không quay nữa là các bạn phải ủng hộ cho mình kênh qua kênh đấy nhé. Thì mình đã chọn một số từ rồi. Các bạn đó, mình quên mất.
But while fair officials worried about the pigs, the Maryland Department of Health was concerned about a group of sick fairgoers. Some Department of Health was concerned about a group of sick fairgoers. Some had pet the pigs, while others had merely been near their barns. But soon, some had pet the pigs, while others had merely been near their barns. But soon, 40 of these attendees would be diagnosed with swine flu. More 40 of these attendees would be diagnosed with swine flu. More often than not, sick animals don't infect humans, but when they do, sick animals don't infect humans, but when they do, these cross-species infections, or viral host jumps, have the potential to produce deadly epidemics. So how can pathogens from one species infect another? And what makes host jumps so dangerous? Viruses are a type of organic parasite infecting nearly all forms of life. To survive and reproduce, they must move through three stages: contact with a susceptible host, infection and replication, and transmission to other individuals. As an example, let's look at human influenza. First, the flu virus encounters a new host and makes its way into their respiratory tract. This isn't so difficult. But to survive in this new body, the virus must mount a successful infection before it's caught and broken down by an immune response. To accomplish this task, viruses have evolved specific interactions with their host species. Human flu viruses are covered in proteins adapted to bind with matching receptors on human respiratory cells. Once inside a cell, the virus employs additional adaptations to hijack the host needs to suppress or evade the host's immune system long enough to replicate to sufficient levels and infect more cells. At this point, the flu can be passed on to its next victim via any transmission of infected bodily fluid. However, this simple sneeze also brings the virus in contact with pets, plants. Or even your lunch. Viruses are constantly encountering new species and attempting to infect them. More often than not, this ends in failure. In most cases, the genetic dissimilarity between the two hosts is too great. For a virus adapted to infect humans, a lettuce cell would be a foreign and inhospitable landscape. But there are a staggering number of viruses circulating in the environment, all with the potential to encounter new hosts. And because viruses rapidly reproduce by the millions, they can quickly develop random mutations. Most mutations will have no effect or even prove detrimental, but a small proportion may enable the pathogen to better infect a new species. The odds of winning this destructive genetic lottery increase over time, or if the new species is closely related to the virus's usual host. For a virus adapted to another mammal, infecting a human might just take a few lucky mutations, and a virus adapted to chimpanzees, one of our closest genetic relatives, might barely require any changes at all. It takes more than time and genetic similarity for a host. jump to be successful. Some